Yo, what's going on guys, Arekkz here, welcome back to another Destiny 2 video, and today I want to take a moment to speak about and recap what we currently know about the first DLC pack for Destiny 2, the one slated to release later this year, most likely December time, the Curse of Osiris. Now that we have dates for Iron Banner, and the Prestige Raid, and the PC release is drawing ever closer, the question around what's next begins to surface. Sure, there will likely be a few other events between now and then, possibly something around Halloween, perhaps even another faction rally, maybe even challenge modes for the raid, but ultimately the next big ticket item on the horizon is without a doubt the first DLC. We've known about it since before Destiny 2 even launched, and it's part of the overall content plan that should help expand the world and give us more stuff to do, more stuff to earn, and more stuff to grind for. And while outside of the initial DLC confirmation we haven't heard nor seen a great deal from Bungie, there is still a fair bit of information out there, so in this video I'm going to wrap up everything we currently know about Destiny 2's first DLC pack. Of course, if you do enjoy this, then a like would be super appreciated, and be sure to comment down below if you have any questions. Now, to begin with, as mentioned, the first DLC is going to be called the Curse of Osiris. A little while back, there were some rumours floating around, and while Bungie tend to ignore a lot of these or dismiss them where necessary, they did at least acknowledge the existence of this one when Arekkz, marketing director, said Curse of Osiris is not a leak, it's real. And as mentioned, the Season Pass image clearly indicates that the first DLC will indeed focus around Osiris, meanwhile the second, slated for next year, will focus around Rasputin. Of course, at the time that this leak and information surfaced, Bungie weren't going to elaborate any further since they were still in full swing marketing Destiny 2 itself. That was, and at least right now, still is their core focus. But since the DLC is slated to launch in 2017, most likely December, then they're realistically going to have to start talking about it pretty soon. As mentioned at the beginning, now that we have the Prestige difficulty for the raid dated and our first Iron Banner, a lot of the endgame activities that would naturally have to come before any sort of future announcement are now on the table. Similarly, for the PC release, that's their next big push, so it'll be in their interest to ensure that gets handled correctly before speaking about the future. So I'd be willing to bet around the beginning of November is when we'll more than likely start hearing about the DLC. A few potential important dates to consider keeping an eye out for would be Paris Games Week, which takes place from November 1st to the 5th, and that is another big show for the year and is a place where we do, from time to time, get some announcements. However, given that show's proximity to the PC launch, the other couple of dates worth mentioning would be PSX, or PlayStation Experience, and also the Game Awards. PlayStation Experience runs over December 9th and 10th, and the Game Awards, hosted by Jeff Keighley, is on December 7th. The Game Awards in past years has been a very popular place for companies to drop exclusive trailers, but the only problem with those dates is that they are a little close to the potential launch of the DLC. If we look back to Destiny 1, then The Dark Below launched on December 9th, and it would make sense that they're going to want to do that to get it out ahead of Christmas so they can be part of the Christmas rush, so to speak. So that really pulls us back to November. It's also entirely possible that Bungie will instead largely handle this one themselves like they have done with previous expansions, and instead run a series of live streams from a studio showing off some of the new stuff coming in the DLC, and if that's the case, then that would more than likely have to be in November. But either way, enough speculation for the time being, those are just some dates and times to potentially keep in mind. But now let's return to the facts. A listing on the Xbox store that popped up a while back gave us a first look into what the first DLC will contain. The official description for it reads, Destiny 2 Expansion 1, Curse of Osiris, continues your Guardian's journey with all new story missions and adventures set in a new destination, Mercury. Journey through time and space to learn the secrets of Osiris, avert a dark future, and rebuild the ties between the legendary Warlock and his greatest student, Ikora Rey. Then following that, the listed features include a completely new planet to explore, Mercury, and a location known only as the Infinite Forest. On top of that, there will be new story missions and adventures, which makes sense given a new planet and patrol zone, also new themed weapons, armor and gear to earn, new cooperative activities, raid strikes, new cooperative multiplayer maps, and more. Now, that's a pretty standard framework for DLC based on Destiny of old. New gear and weapons to earn, new places to explore, basically more of what we already have. It also raised the interesting question on power level. In the most recent Bungie blog post, it was revealed that the Prestige difficulty raid would in fact not be offering a power increase. In fact, besides wanting a challenge, there's really no need to do the Prestige raid. It gets you a slightly different looking gear set, but on the power front, it is no different. You can get to 305 without ever setting foot in the raid, both normal or hard, and as a result, there was a bit of outrage surrounding this. But if you take a step back and look at the wider picture, then the PC launch and DLC probably help explain this. Assuming, for a moment, that the DLC does, in fact, launch at the beginning of December, that will more than likely offer us the power increase we've been waiting for. And that is just a couple of months away. For Bungie to drop a power increase the week before the PC version launches would serve to just further put PC players behind when they've already missed out on a fair few things. They've missed out on activities, they've missed out on the first raid launch, stuff like that. What makes more sense, given everything we know, is to run these new activities to give us stuff to do, let PC players finally enter the fray and get caught up, then begin the marketing for the new DLC, and then when it drops in December, all players, PC included, can dive in together, experience the new content, and then that's more than likely where we'll get our power increase. Doesn't mean to say it's not weird that the Prestige raid isn't giving us a power increase given what we've known in the past. That is still very strange, but this probably explains their thought process. I mean, we're going to need a legitimate reason to grind, something higher to aim for, so a DLC offering new activities seems only fitting. Now, to further complement the Xbox Store leak, Jason Schreier from Kotaku, known for some of the most reliable and accurate Destiny leaks in the past, shed a little extra light on the DLC based on some information that came his way. He too name-checked the DLC as being the Curse of Osiris and the fact that it would allow us to explore Mercury, a location we've only visited up until now in Crucible matches, but on top of that the DLC will supposedly introduce a third social space, this time the Lighthouse, an area that was only accessible in Destiny 1 by going flawless in Trials of Osiris. Whether it's the very same lighthouse or a similar area will of course remain to be seen, but given our link to Mercury, that naturally makes sense. And again, the story will focus around rescuing Osiris, a character we've heard of, but not learned a great deal about in Destiny's history. We'll be tasked with rescuing him from the Vex. Now, for those of you that have never dove into the Grimoire or Destiny's lore outside of the game, then a little bit of backstory on Osiris. He was at one point the Speaker's apprentice, but they had a difference of opinions. Osiris sought to find out the true purpose of the Guardians and the nature of the darkness, which ultimately led him to madness. Some of his theories diverted Guardian resources away from protecting the city to instead chase legends and rumours, the Vault of Glass being one such task. It was said that he was the one that inspired Kabur to go into the Vault. He also studied the Hive, prophesied the coming of Arekkz. Essentially, he spent time researching a lot of dark and dangerous stuff, and this ultimately led to him being exiled by the Speaker. And it was then said that after Osiris vanished, that even those who followed him, his disciples such as Brother Vance, nobody knew where he was or where he went, but they still claimed that he was both alive and dead. And given the story focused Destiny 2 involves the Vex, that would likely explain that rather confusing statement. Regardless, to this day, still a great deal isn't known about this character, which is precisely why the DLC is going to be so exciting. Two of Destiny's most interesting topics, Osiris and the Vex, all rolled into one. Hopefully, we'll actually get some answers this time, and not just questions. But for the time being, that is pretty much all we have to go on right now. Rather interestingly, game director at Bungie, Christopher Barrett, did put out a tweet the other day asking players what they would most like to see in the first expansion for Destiny. So whether this is their attempt at trying to see what else they can feasibly work in before launch, or just to kind of check that they're on the right path, I don't know. But I think it's fair to say that within the next, say, 3 to 4 weeks, we'll likely begin hearing and learning a little bit more about what's next. So once we do, I will of course keep you guys up to date, but for the time being, that is pretty much it. Any questions, drop them down below. Also, let me know in the comments what you guys would like to see most added or changed in the first DLC. It would definitely be interesting to see what you guys want the most. But until then, thanks for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.